Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to the fastest growing, fastest rising post-professional wrestling show in all of sports entertainment. Welcome back to Ringside Conversations. I am your host, Roddy of Cringeman Media, and Elimination Chamber has now happened. And dare I say, I thought it was one of the better PLEs that we've had all year. Like going into 2025, I thought that was fire. Breakdown, let's go. We start off the night with the women's Elimination Chamber match. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I thought it was way better than the men's. Not to say the men's was bad by any means, but the women's they just went a lot. It was just better. So in case y'all are living under a rock, the Elimination Chamber for the women's included Rhea Ripley, Tiffany Stratton, Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Raquel Rodriguez, and Kiana James. I made a predictions video that said Tiffany Stratton would have been the winner of this match. She did not win, but she was in the final two. I'm taking some liberty of that. I don't care. I'm like halfway right, halfway wrong. I don't care. The women's Elimination Chamber match was so much fun, like down to the first elimination. You get to see Alexa Bliss get sprayed by Asuka and then get rolled up for a pin. Even like you can even feel the intensity, I feel like, better amongst the other match that we get to talk about later, down to all the entrants that the women get to have. I also loved, and I mean loved, how strong Raquel Rodriguez looked. You could argue, carried this match. And I said this before, and I will say it again. Most improved superstar, Raquel Rodriguez. She looked very strong. She even pinned two people at once at Elimination Chamber. She threw Asuka into the steel. Then, of course, ultimately gets eliminated by the prettiest moonsault ever via Tiffany Stratton. Now, the final two were Tiffany Stratton and Rhea Ripley, and I just spoiled it that Rhea Ripley is the winner. A lot of people are upset about this, and I don't know why we as wrestling fans just kind of like hate to see main event superstars get back on the main event scene. I personally, first of all, before we even get into like, I guess, opinionated opinions, right? Like subjective, okay? This was probably the smartest move that WWE could do. When you talk about momentum for WrestleMania, we now have Liv Morgan and Stephanie Vaquer to have their match. This WrestleMania this year is already lacking a lot in momentum. You need stars. You need big names. And Jade Cargill's title reign has already been not impressive by any means, by only having one title defense off the top of my head since she's won that title from Tiffany Stratton. This also was kind of obvious choice, I feel like. Even though I predicted Tiffany Stratton, that was before the SmackDown of Elimination Chamber. And we saw that Rhea Ripley and Io Sky are no longer the tag team champions. When that happened, I literally saw it and said, she is now going to win. However, I still stand by my predictions, albeit they were incorrect. Huge shout out to Kiana James. She started off the match, and I thought she did a phenomenal job. Moving on to the Women's Intercontinental Championship match between AJ Lee and big time Becky Lynch. This match, in my opinion, in terms of the flow, had a lot of nostalgia to it, meaning like we literally got to see a match where the heel called the match and the heel took majority of the match, meaning like we literally, for majority of the match, all we did see was AJ Lee getting beat up by Becky Lynch. She gets to have her comeback. We get to have some shenanigans because, you know, if y'all don't know, Becky got beef with the referee, but for the most part, this was like a really fun, nostalgic flow for this match. And I think that's important considering AJ Lee hasn't had a one-on-one in 10 years. So I think this was the smartest move in terms of match flow. Allow Becky to call the match, allow someone that you trust call the match, allowing AJ just to get beat up and play it safe, and then have her moments when it was time to have her moments, being that she became our new women's intercontinental champion in Chicago. Also, side note, I wonder if like Becky's gonna like fight the ref or something, because that would be hilarious. Now to the underwhelming part of the evening. If y'all don't know, we randomly, for the past couple weeks, got this random crate that has been floating around Raw and SmackDown that had the dates of the Elimination Chamber on the crate. Like, do not open until said date, right? So we finally get to see what or who was in this crate. The individual that was in the crate was none other than Danhausen. So for those who are unaware and probably had no idea who he was, he is a comedic mid-carder. Some would even say jobber, but he's like, like the R-Truth, the Santino Morellas, the Damian Sandows, if you will, of the wrestling world. Now, a lot of fans were very disappointed. The city of Chicago, especially, was very disappointed. They booed him out the building. And here's my take. If you want to say that it's WrestleMania season, and if y'all want to debut somebody, it should have someone with merit, someone who holds weight, and someone with a big name, especially when I mentioned before that this WrestleMania is lacking momentum. Fair critique. So fair. However, it gets unfair for Danhausen if you just dislike him when you have no idea of him and his work. The dude is hilarious. However, I understand that we're this close to WrestleMania. I think off the top of my head, we're about to be 7 weeks out. And, WWE is going to be heavily critiqued, period, especially during this big time, Road to WrestleMania. So I'm not upset of the fact that the fans are upset. When I first saw it, I didn't have much of a reaction. I was kind of like, oh, okay. But it was like, I understand why he got booed out the building. And it's like, So with that being said, please allow Danhausen to do what Danhausen does. Don't hate him. You can be mad at WWE, but don't be mad at him. Moving on to the World Heavyweight Championship match between CM Punk and Finn Balor. This was easily match of the night. Even though we all can collectively say that there was no chance that Finn Balor was winning in Chicago right around WrestleMania season, the match itself still performed so good. The match was very competitive. Finn Balor looks like $1 million, dude. Like Finn just continuously shows why we as fans need to appreciate him, why WWE needs to appreciate him more. Allow him to have more matches like this. Allow him to have more matches where he can be himself and just show why he is capable of being on the main event scene and compete for championships. There really wasn't much shenanigans. We did see Dom and all them come out once. They did not interfere because Balor wants to do this himself. And it makes me think now that Finn Balor has now lost without the help of the Judgment Day, how we can finally potentially plant the seeds of Finn leaving the Judgment Day turning their back on Finn, however you want to do it. I think it's time that Finn Balor has like an AJ Styles kind of run where he's just able to just win again. Like Styles has always been a winner. We haven't seen Finn win like big money matches in a long time, especially outside of just tag team championships. I don't have a lot to say about this match, albeit it was a match of the night. The match was great. If you have not watched it, go watch it. And I love the ending, how AJ Lee comes out and she gets to celebrate with her husband. That was great. And if y'all haven't seen that one photo that CM Punk used to troll Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, yeah, it was great. It was so good. If I have it, I'll place it up here. But yeah, it was awesome. Main event time. Cody Rhodes, Logan Paul, L.A. Knight. Yeah. That boy bouncy Javon Evans, Mr. Whoop That Trick Williams, and the Viper Randy Orton in the men's Elimination Chamber match. Also, fun fact, Javon Evans is younger than the Elimination Chamber. Let that sink in. He's the youngest ever. So Javon Evans and Cody Rhodes started the match, which I thought was interesting, which I also thought was more of a reason to give Cody, I guess, more ways to get behind him because he's facing so much adversity. For those who didn't watch it, I voted Cody to win this match. Before I even get to like the nitty gritty, I want to say one thing. Trick Williams has so much aura, bro. Trick Williams like showed throughout this match why he is like literally a future champion, and he's probably going to outshine, with the exception of certain guys, maybe like Obafemi, but he's going to be just such a star in the WWE. However, surprisingly, WWE gave Logan Paul, of all people, a lot to like he scored almost all the he scored half of the eliminations. He had 3 eliminations, albeit he didn't do it quite all by himself. Of course, he, like capitalized on someone getting hit by something or hitting a finisher on somebody, whatever. But he is the only member of the division who is in the Elimination Chamber because he's probably the only one left. Because, him and Austin Theory and, of course, the Oracle Paul Heyman, that's it. Everybody else is hurt. The only weird thing about this is that Jey Uso on Friday Night SmackDown got hurt and was in the ambulance. Obviously, this is all a work, but it was all that just for him to no longer be in the chamber. But I thought it was interesting because why do that to main event Jey Uso unless there's always been a plan of action for this? And who knows? It could be, and who knows? Like maybe it was his brother who attacked him. Maybe it was Jacob Fatu who attacked him. Who knows, right? That being said, I'm going to make this real quick, but I think LA Knight is probably going to go down in history as like one of the most, at one point in time, on top of the world kind of guys for a short amount of time. But, for a time, like he had the whole world in his hands essentially. And there were certain moments where WWE capitalized on his popularity at the time. They gave him a championship match with Roman Reigns, our tribal chief, but we will always acknowledge. Sit down now. Sit down. But it also just seems like it's kind of his own fault on why he's not being pushed, so to speak. Like I remember that one Money in the Bank. We all thought he was going to win that one Money in the Bank. Ended up being Damian Priest. Ended up being Seth Rollins. And, we get to see it behind closed doors with WWE Unreal on like just certain things. And it's not like every superstar doesn't have opportunity, but, he has all these botches and stuff like that. It's unfortunate for him. But that being said, he did bring a level of intensity to this chamber match, considering he has had beef with Logan Paul. So within this match, especially towards the end parts, we get to see a lot go down. First of all, I hope Javon Evans is okay. I don't know if y'all saw that pulverizer that Logan Paul gave to him, but he landed right on his neck. So prayers to Javon Evans that he's okay, especially because the fact that he just recently had a concussion. So I hope the kid's all right. Now, there's also like fun moments where we get to see like intense stare downs between Javon Evans and Trick Williams, making, considering they've had history back at NXT. It's cool to see these young talent. WWE's in good hands. They have done an amazing job of just developing talents, like homegrown talent. Trick Williams, Javon Evans, Carmelo Hayes, like all these guys, right? Obafemi, like all these guys, right? So with that being said, we get to the final 3, Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, and Logan Paul. And after Logan eliminates Trick Williams, we see the gates open for a little bit longer than we think. And Trick Williams is selling that he's like super hurt. And then this random mask guy comes out, insinuating he's the mask guy. Now, on Monday Night Raw, we saw this happen, and the guy was just a nobody. We didn't know his name, who he was. It was just some random, insinuating it was a copycat. It was, it wasn't really him. So, which is obviously like strategic. The masked man wants to ruin the vision as much as he can. That exact same thing happened, and Adam Pearce even comes out and takes his mask off, and he's like, "Who are you?" Like all these things, just so that way WWE security is gone and the real masked man can appear. In which he does what you think he was going to do, and that is super kick and curve stomp Logan Paul, in which Cody Rhodes pins Logan Paul. And after Logan Paul is eliminated, we get to see that it is none other than Seth freaking Rollins. Now, this is probably going to lead to a match at WrestleMania between Logan Paul and Seth Rollins, which was obviously supposed to be Braun Breaker. And the fact that it is not Braun Breaker, it is one of those things where it is what it is. But man, what if, right? So with that being said, we now are here in the final 2 being Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. 2 men with a bunch of history dating all the way back to when Cody was a youngin' in the industry. And he was a part of Randy Orton's faction Legacy with himself and Ted DiBiase. And of course, one man being Drew McIntyre, who just despises Cody so much, comes and hits him in the back of the head with the title, and is just like stomping him down, punching him down in the corner. And then Randy Orton is just like, what the hell, right? So he comes in, has him turn around, RKOs him. As soon as Drew McIntyre gets up, he gets crossroads by Cody Rhodes. After that, Randy Orton is like, like giving, like pointing at Cody to like do it. He does it. and then boom, RKO immediately. The pop that Chicago gave when that RKO happened and that Randy Orton got the 1, 2, 3. Randy Orton is our winner going to WrestleMania, right? It was crazy. It was awesome. Now, this one detail I want to get about before I continue on with Randy, and that is that post-show, Nick Aldis goes to the post-show area and grabs the mic and tells us that since Drew McIntyre did something that he was not supposed to have done, he is now going to defend the WWE Championship against Cody Rhodes on Friday Night SmackDown since he cost Cody Rhodes the Elimination Chamber. This is huge because this is an obvious direction or a momentum. This is an obvious pivot that WWE wants to give us what we've been asking them to give us for like the past 4 years, I think. And that is Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. Now, man, I pray that we can get just something because like Randy Orton just showed that he's willing to do anything. And he's not that upset at the fact that he had to RKO his friend, his former protege or his former protege, his former students, that he will do whatever it takes to win. RKO, 1, 2, 3, I'm heading to Mania for potentially my 15th championship. And it's like, Cody should feel resentment, like albeit it was always going to be every man for himself for the chamber, but just can we please get something out of Cody, like a heel turn, something. I want to be excited for this match. If it does happen, I'm already going to be excited for it, but I just don't want it to be another babyface versus babyface kind of match. I want something. Unless there's a speculation involved. You know, maybe it'll be a street fight. Maybe it'll be no DQ. Something. That'd be cool too. But for the most part, I don't want to see 2 more baby faces going at him. I've seen that a lot with him and John Cena already. I'm cool with that. I feel like there's opportunity with the history between the 2 of them so we can really capitalize on that level of storytelling. Don't mind my rant. But that was pretty much the chamber. There was only 4 matches and a lackluster surprise from the crate. I still believe, even with that said lackluster surprise, that this is still like one of the better PLEs we've gotten. I had a lot of fun watching this, and I hope you guys did too. Now, with that being said, if you guys enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. If you are fans of pro and collegiate sports, here at Christmas Mania, we have pro football, college football, pro basketball, college basketball. We even have combat sports like boxing and professional wrestling here at Ringside Conversations. I am your host, Roddy. Thank you guys so much. And I'd like to leave y'all with one question to leave in the comments. What match are you most looking forward to for WrestleMania? I know for me, it is the one and only Tribal Chief versus the Best in the World. 2 men who have been my favorites for many, many years. One being CM Punk, the Best in the World. That era of him, post-pipe bomb, pre-pipe bomb, I've always been a fan of Punk. I have been a fan of Punk since the Straight Edge Society movement, guys. I have watched him literally since he was in EC, and now we have Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief, specifically my favorite. Big Dog Roman, we're not going to talk about that. But the Tribal Chief is the GOAT, okay? So you have 2 guys who I just admire so much in terms of wrestling and characters and what they can do. So I think this is the time where our Tribal Chief will reign again as champion of WWE, but we will definitely see. And I will give y'all my predictions on that when the time comes. Again, I am Roddy of Christmas Media. I love you guys so much. Later.